Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead Take Two. The very first things out of my mouth, the last video, the last attempt at this live stream, was that I might experience technical difficulties because my internet is not that great. Well, it wasn't the internet; it was my camera just died. I don't know why. Anyways, we're back on, and again, my internet is not awesome, so there may be a lag. It may be a little blurry at times. We hope that won't be a problem. If you can just bear with me. I do have some things to share with you. Hey, people are finally getting in. Yes, the first one, I don't know. The camera just froze. Um, hey, NWA Prepper, 5x5, good deal. Like I was saying, my internet is sometimes sketchy, so we'll see how long we'll be able to do this. Before I get to comments, so if you want to kind of, I mean, you can talk and everything, but there's a few things, because this is also the regular video for the day. There's a few things I wanted to show you. Let me hold on just a second and pull up some of the stuff that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And it's all this fuel stuff. It is someone saying that let it buffer. Sounds good on my end. Yeah, there may be a little bit of buffering because I don't have the fastest internet here. So better internet down in Arkansas. Well, that's probably true because we don't have very good internet here at all. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys and gals about some more of this fuel stuff and some other things that came out in the news. So if you'll bear with me, let me get through some news stuff, and then maybe we can take some questions. All right. So some of you have probably heard of this. DHS has issued another bulletin. This is basically a heightened threat in violence in the months to come, which is something that we have all been talking about. Okay, we've all been talking about this, that all this fuel prices and food shortages and supply chains and more and more, the electrical grid potentially shutting down at times this summer. They're warning us of that. It could cause people to become more and more violent, and the DHS, well, they're basically agreeing with that. They're saying, just heads up, there could be more violence this summer or in the coming months ahead. Something else we've been talking about, the housing bubble, that it's about ready to pop. Well, look at this. Home listings have suddenly jumped. Okay, this isn't a conspiracy that the housing bubble looks like it's about ready to go. Home listings are up because sellers are worrying that they may miss out on the red hot housing market. So people are trying to get their houses for sale, out there on the market and get them sold. And I've been hearing from a lot of you that are doing that too. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you can sell it right now, certainly do so, because more than likely here in a few months, that value is going to start going down, and the amount of people that could buy it are going to lessen. This one here, the White House, the president has declared a state of emergency. I mean, they're getting real friendly with doing these declarations of emergency, and authorized for a temporary extension. And then he's also invoked the Defense Production Act. And what this is all about is about solar power. We can't open up a pipeline. We can't reduce the restrictions and release leases and stuff to improve oil production. But we're going to declare an emergency, and we're going to be buying more and more solar panels and wind stuff and all that kind of stuff from China, because there's such a shortage of energy. And the thing is there's no telling how much we would have to purchase. I don't think even China could produce enough, and the companies here in America could produce enough to make up for, in a short amount of time, the amount of gasoline and gas, natural gas and coal powered and things like that they're pulling back on. They're restricting and shutting down. But this is just one of their little temps. Onto the gasoline. Oops, there we go. I didn't have it pulled up. I apologize. Why U.S. gas prices are at a record high. Well, we all know that, but look at the second part and why they will stay high for a long time. No, I don't want to uh, do anything with CNN. So they're going to stay high, which is this is not a big surprise. We all know this. They're going to this isn't just a little bump in the economy. This isn't a little bump with the fuel prices. This is their attempt to force people out of driving gasoline vehicles and diesel vehicles. This is part of this United Nations and World Economic Forum's net zero carbon emissions agenda that they're wanting us to stop using fuel, and as the prices go up, of course, less and less people. Um, Foggy Mountain Man says that cost his nephew, it cost him $256 to fill up his diesel pickup today. I don't doubt that. Um, Today I saw we had to go somewhere, and it was the highest I saw around here was 259 459 a gallon for gasoline, 459 a gallon for gasoline, which I mean, we're always pretty cheap around here, so that's pretty high. Um, On to this, the fuel high fuel prices is causing shipping prices to go up. Now, we all remember last year, the cost of shipping, container prices, all that soared. Well, look at this. It's 150% above year over year. So they're soaring above the high shipping costs that we had last year that we were talking about. Everyone was complaining about how much it costs to ship a shipping container and stuff. Well, it's 150% higher than that already. Um, and we'll talk more about that kind of stuff. Soaring diesel prices impacting the trucking industry could lead to rising food price costs. I mean, that's obvious, yes. Here's another one. Inflation is squeezing the main loggers. Well, it's not just trucking, it's farming that it's affecting. It's affecting loggers, which is eventually going to affect lumber. This is why we say, and I know most of you understand this, that when fuel prices, diesel and gasoline go up, it causes everything to go up. One other here, all these pop ups, goodness. This is from oilprice.com. Oil tanker stocks to watch as shipping rates soar. Shipping rates are on the move. And I'm going to talk just a minute about that, something that I found out here locally that would be some good information for all of you, I think, also. But remember Klaus Schwab, the new appointed world leader now from the World Economic Forum. Remember at the start of the pandemic, he was saying, we need to take this opportunity this opportunity of this pandemic to reset. Okay, well, it's working apparently, because how the pandemic has prepared the global supply chains for the crisis to come. Hmm, that's interesting. So you're telling me that this whole pandemic actually was part of this uh, conditioning everyone for lockdowns and for forced things done to their bodies, and to condition us for the supply chain problems, seeing empty shelves. And we're seeing that now. I mean, if you talk to people, a lot of people will tell you, oh, it's the store shelves aren't that bad. The store shelves aren't that bad considering what we've gone through over the last couple of years in a lot of places. But you go back before the pandemic, do any of you remember seeing lots of empty store shelves before all this health crisis stuff started? I don't really remember. I mean, it happened occasionally, but not on a regular basis. So yes, it's conditioning us. um, and that's exactly what all this health crisis has done, has conditioned us for all this great reset. We're accepting it more, maybe not you and I, but people are accepting it more. Going back to the high shipping costs, um live exercise, that's exactly right. It's an actual exercise that we're going through. We're the guinea pigs. I was talking to a local feed and farm store owner. It's not a big chain like Tractor Supply. It's a locally owned one. I was talking about this over my Patreon last night, and he's always telling me about, things going on, how hard it is to get things and what the cost of stuff. And he said that he hasn't been able to get salt blocks, the kind used in livestock, the big 50-pound or whatever salt blocks. And he said it's taking him about 2.5 months to get any salt blocks in. And he was wondering, is there a shortage of salt somewhere? And so he finally got an answer from his supplier, and he said, no, there's no shortage in salt. He said it's because the cost of shipping has gone up so much that certain items that don't have a lot of wiggle room for profit aren't getting shipped because there's not a lot of money to be made in salt if the shipping has gone up so much. Now they can't ship it. Hold on just a second, folks. I've been out mowing the yard, and I think I got some grass in my throat. So there again, these items like, say, wood shavings. A lot of you may use wood shavings in bedding or with your chickens and stuff. It may get to a point that's hard to get because there's not a lot of wiggle room in the profit in some of these things. These are lower dollar items that take up a lot of space. And what he was saying, that the shipping companies were saying that they're not, it doesn't pay them to ship a whole truckload of salt anymore. They're not making any money on that. And so they're just putting like maybe trying to squeeze in one pallet on a load here and there. And so that's another problem with all this that we're going to be dealing with. Excuse me, folks. I apologize, but I can actually kind of feel it in the back of my throat. Thank you, Jason. Love the channel, fellow homesteader. Thanks for the content. So he has a channel on crypto trading. So for those of you that are into crypto trading, I would certainly go check out Jason Casper's channel over there. So there's these problems with the gasoline and the diesel prices going up. It hurts us when we go to the pump. When we have to fill up our tank. We don't like that, right? But there's a whole lot more that's being affected by it. And that is kind of a trickle down thing. The prices that's increasing on the shipping end, it's not going to affect us right away. Okay, so it's a little bit slower going, but we're certainly going to start feeling it come the next couple of months. We're certainly going to start feeling more and more of that, and I think that's what we're seeing happen in the White House. They're trying to kind of, get things kind of in order, condition people. They're now admitting that, well, the inflation wasn't necessarily transitory. We were wrong on that. And they're doing other things like this, declaring a national emergency again and using the Defense Production Act and things to kind of get things going. Everyone's saying 420. It wasn't that. I was actually mowing my yard. Okay. There was no 420 going on around here, at least not for that. I was actually mowing my yard, and it was really dusty, so that's why my throat's a little raspy. So anyways, that was the main thing that I wanted to get out tonight, that kind of information, and I guess I will start paying more attention to the comments and start taking comments. I did want to say that for our local meeting, it has been set. It's June 26th. If for those of you that came to our expo event, it's at the same place. So, it's June 26th. The doors open at noon. The meeting kind of starts at around 2. And we already have, I think, pretty much all of our special speakers lined up for that. But mostly it's just a good time to come and fellowship and get to know each other. So if you're in the area here in the Ozarks and you'd like to attend, you can certainly shoot me an email and I'll give you some more details on that. All right, back to the rolling blackouts coming for everyone. Gary McCourt says, yes, that's what they're saying. That's one of the things of all this stuff. Like everyone right now is focused on gas. Oh, it's so high, but because we're feeling it immediately. But what are people going to start doing when there's widespread rolling blackouts? Um, I think that's going to affect a lot of people a lot more. And I think it's going to hurt worse because, I mean, you can, even though it hurts to fill up your tank, but if you have no electricity at your house, there's a lot of things that's going to affect. As people are saying, the internet connection is working great. Thank you, because the internet connection here is always kind of sketchy. And so sometimes I get a good connection and other times not so much. Kathy D. Salt and Light is asking about the blackouts. The federal regulators that regulate the grid and everything, they have been warning for the last month or so that come this summer that there's going to be rolling blackouts, predominantly in the Midwest, but also on the Western United States. I was reading an article the other day that here in the Midwest alone, so this isn't the East Coast or West Coast, it's the Midwest. They were saying that they're short enough electricity to power 3.7 million homes this summer. That's how much electricity they're in the negative. So they don't have enough electricity, they say, to keep the power on for everyone. So there's going to be, rolling blackouts come this summer is what, I mean, this isn't a conspiracy. This is federal regulators. Love the channel. Thank you, Terry. Gary Gray the Beard says audio and video sounds good. So thank you very much. And we'll see how long that lasts. I can't guarantee solid internet around here. So if it starts to cut out or if it just drops, it's just something we have to deal with. They have declared war on the working class, inflation, costs of living, burdens, and loads. Yes, that is exactly right. The Watchman, that was his comment. It is pushing us towards a civil war. We're already in a cold civil war. Will it ever go to a hot civil war? I don't know. I think that there's a growing possibility of that. And as things become more divided, as problems persist, as people become more hungry, as their money starts buying less and less, they have less and less purchasing power, their electricity goes off, they don't have air conditioning, it causes people to get more and more upset. People are talking about 2,000 Mules. That is a good documentary. In the comments, and I would also recommend the documentary What is a Woman. Those are both two that are definitely worth watching. Hey, Jamie Roberts from Success, Missouri. Let's see, back to the comments. 207 a liter here in southern Manitoba. It's up in Canada for you American folks. So that works out to be, and doing the math in my head, what, a little over $8 a gallon? Is that correct? Maybe not quite that much. Trying to do that kind of math in my head. I'm not too fast at it. So that's pretty high. Canada usually has a little higher gas than us anyways, but that's getting quite high. A pair of shoes will cost you over $100. Yeah, everything's getting ridiculous. My wife and I, we went a week ago to buy groceries. I may have already talked about this, and it wasn't like, the big, huge grocery. It was, just picking up some things, and there was a half a basket of groceries. And I thought, man, this is going to be high. I bet it's going to be over $200. It was close to $300. We just about fell over. And it wasn't, we don't buy expensive things. We don't buy, we cook from scratch. We hardly buy any kind of processed food. It just about blew us away, how much the groceries have gone up. Let's see. Usually my wife is here helping me with the comments, but she's taken the kids to, there's a local church around here is doing a vacation Bible school, and so she volunteered to help. It's not a church that we go to, but it's local, and so she's helping at that and has the kids there. So I'm kind of on my own tonight. She helps me out. 469 in North Carolina. Netherlands. What was that? Hold on, let me go back on my screen. The Netherlands, it was 11.82 a gallon is what it works out to be in the Netherlands. 11.82 a gallon. Good night. 5.29 in Southeast Michigan. Someone said they spent, whoops, the comments are coming in a little faster than I can keep up with. Spend $600 average at Costco, right? And if you go in there and you spend $600 now, you're going to get less. That's the thing. It's just there have been products that we normally buy that in the last couple of months have almost doubled in price. So this thing that they're saying, oh, it's only 8 or 9% inflation is baloney, because there's some things that's gone up just, ridiculous prices. $6 a gallon in Phoenix, Arizona. Man. $4.99 in Maryland, $5.19 Southern Illinois, $5.10 in Ohio, $5.25 in Indiana. Florida, $4.65. Northern Indiana is $5.25. And it's just beginning. That's the thing, folks. These high gas prices, they're just beginning. This is not we're not on the tail end of it, is what I'm saying. It's not like it's peaked and we're on the tail end. $8 in Ontario. That's what I thought. I thought it would work out to be about $8 a gallon in a lot of places in Canada. The economy cannot last that long on this. That's the thing, and they know that. I'm not an expert on this, but there's other people I've seen on YouTube that explains this better. Our economy, well, the global economy is designed, when it was all designed, to run on $100 or less per barrel oil, because oil is the real money for the economy, right? And $100 or less per barrel, and we're up to 120 now. Where we are looking at probably $150 to $175 a barrel. The economy, our economy, the global economy cannot sustain itself on that. Our currency is going to crash, most likely, because they're just going to keep trying to do bailouts and do more spending, which is what they always do. But yeah, oil, that is our currency is the petrodollar, and so when oil starts having problems, and that's another thing that a lot of people don't think of. If we eventually switch to where petro, or crude oil is not what it once was, it's not being used, then where's the value in our own currency? Where's the value in the US dollar? Because our US dollar, the value is based on oil. And so if we switch over to this green utopia, then our currency, well, it has no value, and that's where this digital currencies comes into play. I want to mention again, guy in the comments, Jason Casper. He has a YouTube channel for crypto trading. So if you folks are into that, wanting to learn about that, go over to Jason Casper's YouTube channel, and you can find out more about crypto trading from him. Chevron CEO says that there will probably never be another oil refinery built in the United States, and we're closing them down. So we're not building new ones, and we're decommissioning old ones. Someone asked if we keep the Sabbath. That's correct. Yes. We are whole Bible believers. Someone pickled 500 eggs. Awesome. I love pickled eggs. There is a lady that comes to our local meetings. She's actually a really good friend of my wife, and her and her husband, we're close friends with them. And she makes these pickled eggs that they invited us over to their house for dinner. I guess it was last fall. And she had some pickled eggs in a jar, and she said I could have them. And I ate the whole jar before we even left. I ate the whole time we were there. That's all I would eat, is those pickled eggs. I love pickled eggs. Whole wheat bread. There's someone, the Bible group says that they're making whole wheat bread with ingredients we bought over a year ago with Bitcoin. Awesome. That's pretty cool. Our preps are food insurance. That's what I say to tell people. It's just an insurance plan. That's all it is. It's no different than buying insurance on your house and insurance on your car. When you prep, that's all it is. It's just insurance. Um, Someone says it's all over soon. Very possibly. And even if it's not over in the way of like complete destruction of everything, or you know, the Lord coming back, the system that we are accustomed to, this, our government, our economy, our monetary system, the supply chain, all that is probably going to be over soon. That's the for sure. I think that's a definite yes. The rest of it, we'll just have to wait and see. Someone's asking about the buckles. As far as a check, if you want to email me, I can talk to you off. I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff on the air, but I'll talk to you through email. And then someone had asked, and if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you didn't watch yesterday's video or the day before, we're talking about the family that lost everything to a fire. And then after the fire, like 2 days later, these looters came and they basically stripped everything that was left. There's a lot more to that story that I haven't told and they haven't told because it's a little bit more personal. But trust me, that family has gone through a lot. Anyways, there's been people asking about sending things through the mail. You have to understand their house is gone. So they're staying in a hotel and it's not necessarily real close to where they were living. And even though they still have a mailbox at their old house, being that people have already looted it, they don't want to send anything there. So if you want to mail something to them, a letter or a gift, I have a P.O. box that's down in the description of all my videos, and you can mail it to me. And then what we're going to do, depending on how much we get in, every few days or something, put it all in a big bag. And then we have the Buckles and us. We have a mutual friend down there near them, and they're kind of helping coordinate things in their area. And so we will mail it to them, and that way they can get it. It's just how it is. I mean, they don't have a home to mail things to. Yeah, the looters will answer to God for that. That's for certain. I mean, that when they told me that, when I found out that their house had burned to the ground, that on its own is awful. And then they said, like, a couple of days later, they went back, they're staying in a hotel. And so they go back and they sent me pictures. They had looted everything. There was one of the vehicles was still there, and they completely stripped that car down to nothing. I mean, it looked like these cars you see in, the hood or something like that. They took copper wiring out of the ground and copper piping. They got into like their shed and they took a lot of stuff. It's just awful that people are that way. But yeah, they'll get their dues someday. Those people. Thank you, JD Israel. Let's see. Moving on to the comments. Will the blackouts apply to Wi-Fi? Well, I mean, your Wi-Fi routers and stuff are they run on electricity, so they would not work. As far as cell towers, usually cell towers have backup generators and things like that, so they would work for a while. The thing is with the rolling blackouts, is it going to be like what's been in the past where they may only last for a few minutes or for an hour or two, or is it going to get bad because they're saying this is the worst it's ever been? So these rolling blackouts going to last for hours? Could they last for days? We don't know. And that's the big thing, because this is definitely, and according to what the regulators are saying, it's worse than it's ever been. They're short of enough energy to supply America more than they've ever been. Someone said 3 days of darkness. It sounds like it's a very possible. Someone at Autumn says, hit the like button. That's right. Hit the like button. Blackpack Homestead asked if I've ever raised rabbits. Yes, we don't eat rabbits, and we don't raise them currently, but we have considered getting some more as food for our animals, for our dogs. And the thing with rabbits, do the research on the best breed for your area, because rabbits really don't do too well in heat and humidity, but there are certain breeds that do better with that. And there's a lot of people that get a rabbit, raise rabbits because of a particular look, and then find out that they don't do so well if you live in a hot region. So Texas is going to run out of power. Very possible. I mean, they've been struggling in a lot of ways. I was reading the other day that some of their power plants are like hydro generators or something like that, I believe. And because of this, uh, the drought, that they're worried that they're not able to keep them running. So yeah, Texas may be in a pretty bad bind. Yeah, and rabbit poo is great for your garden. Well, that was the other reason why we considered um, adding rabbits to the farm. Electricity could be shut down deliberately to destroy people's saved up food that is refrigerated. That is correct also, and that is something that we have deep freezers. We actually have a couple of big deep freezers, and but what we have tried to do over the last year or so is try to transfer some of that to canning. A lot of stuff that you buy that's frozen stuff, a lot of it can be canned. There's ways of doing that. If you buy frozen vegetables, you can turn around and recan those in like mason jars. And so we've been trying to do that. And we do have backups to help keep the freezers running. But, you know, at some point, you just may not have freezer capability. And so that's something to consider is you can can a lot of that frozen stuff in mason jars, and makes it last way longer, and you don't need the freezer. The price of fuel and electric, there won't be much traffic for the ones that can. That's another thing. Remember during the pandemic, the height of it. Remember when they first shut everything down, and there was videos and pictures from all over the world of these busy streets, in Paris and New York, Times Square, all these places, and they looked like some kind of apocalyptic movie where everyone had died off. There was no one, no cars, no one walking around. And I said, man, they're figuring out, does this work? Does it actually, stop people from driving and using vehicles? Because if you remember, shortly after that, they were saying, oh, the carbon emissions took a big nosedive during the whole lockdown. I knew then that's what they were doing. And sure enough, I think that's what they were. It was part of their little trial run. It was their little test to see how well it works. If we lock everyone down and no one's driving, will it really affect things? Well, it did. And so I think that's where we're headed again, is something like that. They want us in bread lines, begging for food and handing our guns over because we are starving and desperate. That's what Mo said. And you're absolutely right. Um, Remember this: their globalist takeover plan, Great Reset, it only really works or will work is if people are dependent on them, if people need them. And that's why they've always created this dependence. Governments do that everywhere. That's not just an American government thing, that's a government thing. They want people dependent upon them. And that's one of the things we try to push so hard is trying to find your own independence. Be self-sufficient as much as possible, or at least capable of being self-sufficient. Because the more that you are, the less dependent upon them you are, and then the less they have control over you. And that's, I did read, someone said, read about Israel is voting to divide itself. I saw a little blip in the news. I have been really busy today, so I haven't had a lot of time to look at what's going on all over the world. Praying for the Buckles family. Thank you, Maureen. Let's see. They want division to increase in America. That's absolutely correct. That's that they want that. You can go back and read communist and Marxist publications and stuff from 100 years ago, and that's what they were talking about then, is dividing the population, dividing them by race, dividing them by religion. And look at us now. Everyone has their own little label, their own little pronoun, their own little designation, and if you're not like them, then you're the enemy, basically. No one gets along. um, and so their plans seem to be working out just as planned. Blue Ridge Patriot says the talks about Biden's national emergency over solar use. Yes, we talked about that at the first of this live stream. So yeah, he's definitely doing that. And he's also enacted the Defense Production Act, which is where they can compel companies to build certain things for national defense. I think the last time this was actually really used was during the Korean War. Their claim is because of this drought. It's a matter of national security, and so they need to compel businesses to build more solar panels and wind turbines to make up for all this drought. But anyways, we all know that that's a bunch of hogwash. God may push his own reset button. Well, we can only hope. I've had people ask me, is it wrong to pray for that? Is it wrong to pray for him to come back? No, I don't think it is. I pray for it all the time. I don't want my children growing up anymore in this wicked, vile, repugnant world. And so the sooner he comes back, the better is what I think. So yeah, I pray for it. Everything will be fine. Nothing to worry about. We will eat like kings or probably die, something like that. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true, at least not while we're still here. Uh, the Bible group says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life and may enter through his gates of the city." Revelation 22:14. Amen. That is true. Well, my camera now is flashing a battery light, and I did charge it beforehand, so we'll see. I may not be able to be on here much longer. I'm just giving you folks a heads up that my battery light is flashing on my camera because I had to switch to my old camera for whatever reason. The new phone, well, not new, but the phone that I use, it froze up, so had to switch to this old camera. So I may not be able to be on here too much longer. What's my opinion of Elon Musk? Oh man, I don't know if we have enough time to answer that. Um, I don't necessarily think he's a good guy, but I don't know that he's a bad guy either. Um, and that's putting it way too simple. He's all part of it. I've always thought that this cabal, these world leaders and stuff that are trying to take over, there's different factions. And some of them are probably more conservative, more traditional, more nationalistic. That's what Trump. He's very nationalistic, and then some of them are very globalist and stuff. And while one side may be a little bit better than the other, they all are still this guy, I don't necessarily trust him. I mean, he's wanting to send us all to Mars and all this kind of stuff. So no, um, I don't necessarily trust him. I think some of the stuff he talks about. I mean, he was the one. I think it was Elon Musk that was saying that this AI is communicating with demons or something like that, and then he kind of laughed it off, but makes you wonder because that's kind of what I've thought. Uh, let's see. How are the liberals going to power all their electric cars? Well, that's a good question. Let's switch over to electric cars, and then there's no electricity to power them. If you read in the United Nations and their zero carbon emissions or whatever that deal, what there's parts in there talking about like by 2050 and everything when it comes to vehicles, and they're wanting vehicles to be those little smart cars or something. I think that's what they were called, those little tiny, fit two people. You could put them in the back of your pickup truck bed, that kind of stuff. That's what they're wanting people to go to. That's what they're wanting automobiles to be, where they have like about a 60-mile range, little tiny cars like those ones you might see in China or Japan. They have actually written about that in a lot of their plans, their future plans, that's what they want us to get to where we're not driving these big cars all over, even electric cars. That's part of their plan. Let's see. The Bible has been controlled by man for too long. Seek Yeshua. Um, Where will they put all those dead batteries? Well, we don't talk about that. They don't think about that. We don't that Psh, don't ask those kind of questions. What are they going to do with all these dead lithium batteries? Psh, we don't need to talk about that because they have no plan for that. That'll be the next disaster. It's just like us sending all these weapons over to Ukraine. How long is it going to be when we're fighting some, terrorist group using those weapons that we sent them, just like in Afghanistan and just like in Iraq? They don't think that far into the future. Yeah, EMP, CME, and electric cars don't mesh well. That's correct, brother. Well, I'm enjoying this, but I'm going to get off here because I'm thinking my camera is about to die because it's flashing at me. Um, the little light telling me that it's about to die. So, sorry I couldn't make this longer. Maybe I can get back on here again. Like I said, my internet here is just iffy, and it looked like it was running pretty good this afternoon. So I thought I would try a live stream. So hopefully I'll be able to get back on here again. Thank you so much for all of you that have commented. Those that you've given in the super chat. Remember, Jason Casper, brother, thank you for your donation. He has a crypto trading channel. Hey, you make a donation like that, and I have no problem mentioning your name. And if you guys are interested in crypto trading, he appears to be the person to go to. Thank you all for watching, and stay safe out there. Keep prepping, get your houses in order, and I'll catch you in the next video.